Control your mind or be their puppet. They don't need chains to control you. They just need access to your mind. Most people walk around thinking they're free, but the truth is they're being led. By screens, by noise, by fear, by comfort, by what everyone else thinks. They don't think for themselves anymore. They react, scroll, consume, not obey. And it's not even their fault, because the system was built to hijack your attention. Every notification is a hook. Every trend is bait. Every ad is a leash. You're not just watching that feed. It's watching you, tracking every click, every pause, every little hesitation, all to know how to better control what you think, what you want, who you are. And if you don't take back control, you become programmable, predictable, profitable. Now ask yourself this. When was the last time you sat in silence? No phone, no music, no stimulation. Just you facing your thoughts, raw, unfiltered. Most people can't do it because silence is where the truth shows up. And the truth is uncomfortable. It reveals how much of your life is automated, how much of your time is stolen, how much of your identity is borrowed. You can't build a strong mind when it's being shaped by everyone but you. You can't lead your own life if you're following the algorithm. Discipline isn't just about waking up early or hitting the gym. Discipline is the art of reclaiming your inner space, guarding your mental territory like your life depends on it, because it does. If you don't choose your thoughts, they will choose them for you. If you don't build your values, they will install theirs. If you don't define your purpose, you'll be handed a script and told to smile while reading it. Control is quiet. It's not loud or flashy. It shows up in the small moments, when you say no to the urge, when you choose focus over distraction, when you take a pause before reacting. That pause is your power. That pause is your freedom, because in that space, you decide who you are, not the world, not the feed, not the fear. You. The men who master that space, they can't be manipulated. They can't be lured or baited. Because they've done the work, they've sharpened their awareness. They've built a fortress inside their mind, a fortress no one enters without permission. That's the kind of strength this world fears. A man who doesn't chase approval. A man who doesn't need validation. A man who knows exactly what he stands for and doesn't flinch when the pressure rises. You can feel that kind of presence when he walks into a room. Because it's rare. Most people are too distracted to even develop it, too reactive, too desperate to fit in. But here's the truth. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to wake up, to see the strings they're pulling and cut them. You don't need to unplug from the world. You just need to stop letting it own you. Stop letting every opinion shake your identity. Stop letting every shiny object break your focus. Stop letting every dopamine hit rob you of long-term fire. Because comfort is the enemy. Not success, not failure, not even pain. Comfort is the quiet killer. It whispers, "You're fine," while your potential rots inside you. And the system loves that. A comfortable man doesn't question. He doesn't rebel, he just scrolls, pays, and smiles on cue. But if you want to rise, really rise, you have to train your mind like a warrior. Not soft, not passive, not just going with the flow. Because the flow is designed to drown you. It starts with awareness, catching yourself in the act. Noticing when you reach for distraction instead of discomfort. Noticing when you give your time away to things that don't matter. Noticing when you betray your own gut just to avoid tension. Then comes clarity. Who are you without the noise? What do you really value? Not what looks good on a bio. Not what makes people clap. But what sets your soul on fire, then if no one understands it? And finally, discipline, the daily, brutal process of sticking to your path when every part of the world wants you to drift. That's where your edge is. That's where your power lives. Not in controlling others, but in mastering yourself, because if you don't, someone else will. There's always something or someone waiting to take control the moment you give it up. It won't look like control at first. It'll look like just 5 minutes. It'll sound like you deserve a break. It'll feel like you're just keeping up, but inch by inch, you'll drift. Not in one big crash, but in slow, invisible compromises. Until one day you wake up and realize you've built a life on autopilot. No direction, no depth, no soul. That's not living, that's existing on a leash. And here's the punchline. Most people will defend their leash. They'll say you're too intense, too serious, too focused, because your discipline makes them uncomfortable. Your clarity shines a light on their chaos. Your refusal to be controlled feels like rebellion to people who've never questioned anything. Good, let it make them uncomfortable. Let it remind them of the freedom they forgot they had. Because the minute you take full ownership of your mind, your time, your energy, your choices, you stop being useful to the machine. You stop being a puppet, and that's when everything starts to change. Your focus sharpens, your confidence grows, your words carry weight. Your presence commands respect without trying. Not because you're faking anything, but because you're finally real with yourself. Real with your mission, real with the path you're walking. And when a man is that dialed in, you can't sell him lies. You can't bait him with pleasure. You can't move him with fear. He doesn't just survive the world, he shapes it. But here's the hardest truth, and the one most won't admit. No one's coming to do this work for you. Not a coach, not a book, not a motivational video. Just you alone with your mind, your habits, your demons, your potential. The war is internal, always has been, and until you win that war, you'll always be someone else's tool. A pawn in someone else's game, a puppet, dancing to strings you can't even see. And it won't matter how much money you make. It won't matter how good your life looks. Because deep down, you'll know you're not the one driving. You'll feel it in the quiet moments. That delay, that sense that something's off, like you're drifting through a life that's not really yours. Because without mastery of your mind, you can't trust your desires. You can't trust your goals. You can't even trust your thoughts. They've been fed to you. The content you consume, the opinions you absorb, the habits you copy, they've built a mental framework that isn't yours. And every day you follow that framework, you dig the hole deeper. But here's what most don't realize. Reclaiming your mind doesn't require perfection. It requires presence. It's in the decision to pause instead of react, to reflect instead of obey, to question instead of accept. And the more you do that, the clearer you see, the louder your own voice becomes, the stronger your direction feels. You begin to move differently. You stop explaining yourself. You stop needing permission. You stop chasing validation because you already know who you are and what you're here to do. That's power, and it scares the system, because a man who thinks for himself can't be herded, can't be marketed, can't be silenced. He becomes a threat not through violence, but through clarity. He becomes a leader, not because he seeks followers, but because others wake up in his presence. But this journey, it's not easy. You'll lose people. You'll walk alone. You'll be misunderstood. Good. Let them talk. Let them laugh. Let them doubt. Because every time you choose discipline over impulse, every time you choose truth over comfort, every time you choose sovereignty over submission, you forge a mind that can't be broken, and that kind of mind, it doesn't just survive pressure, it thrives in it. It doesn't beg for escape, it builds under fire. The world is loud for a reason. Noise keeps you numb. Endless opinions keep you uncertain. Constant stimulation keeps you tame. But silence, the real, uncomfortable kind, is where the shift begins. That's where clarity lives. Where you start to separate what you believe from what you were taught to believe. Most men never go there. They stay in the noise. It's safer, it's easier, but easy kills edge. And safety kills growth. If you want to lead your own life, you have to face the war inside your own head. The doubts, the fears, the whispers that tell you to play small, stay quiet, blend in. You either silence them with truth, or you obey them with regret, because the clock is ticking. Not in some motivational seize the day way, but in a very real, brutal truth. Every day you stay asleep, the cost gets heavier. Time is the only currency you don't get back, and your mind is the only weapon you truly control. So sharpen it, guard it, master it. Because no one's coming to save you from a war you refuse to fight. And no one can enslave a man who owns himself completely. This isn't about becoming a machine. It's about becoming undeniably human, present-free, unshakable. And once you feel that, once you've tasted what it's like to operate from that place of full ownership, full focus, full control, you'll never go back. You can't go back, because once the puppet sees the strings, he either cuts them, or keeps dancing and dies a slow death, smiling. So the question now is, what are you going to do? Keep scrolling, keep reacting, keep waiting for the perfect moment to finally wake up. Or will you burn the script they handed you and write your own with blood, grit, and intention? That's the choice, right here, right now, not tomorrow. Not after things calm down, not once you feel ready, because the truth is you'll never feel ready. That's just another lie the system feeds you to keep you still. You change by deciding, by acting before the fear talks you out of it, by showing up, over and over again, especially when your emotions scream for escape. And that's the thing no one tells you. Mastery isn't loud. It's not glamorous. It's not some epic movie montage. It's silent reps in the dark. It's choosing the hard path when no one's watching. It's saying no to comfort, again and again, until it becomes who you are. People will wonder how you move like you do, how you stay grounded in chaos, how you see through manipulation, cut through noise, resist trends, and hold your line. They'll call it discipline, they'll call it confidence, they'll call it intensity, but it's none of those. It's ownership. It's a man who faced the mirror, confronted the lies, and refused to live one more day as someone else's asset. You don't get there by accident. You don't get there by luck. You get there by doing what most won't. So, if you're still listening, really listening, then you already feel it. That pull, that fire, that quiet voice saying it's time. Time to stop being the puppet. Time to stop outsourcing your mind. Time to stop living by someone else's design. Because the longer you wait, the deeper the strings dig in. And the only way out is through brutal self-honesty. No sugarcoating. No blaming the world. No hiding behind excuses. You either face yourself, or you stay trapped in the illusion. It's easier to blame the system, to curse the distractions, to hate the culture. But none of that changes you. And if you don't change, nothing does. That's the raw truth. Want freedom? Then earn it every single day. Build the habits that make you solid. Cut the ones that make you soft. Speak the truth even when your voice shakes. Say no when it's easier to say yes. Make the hard call when it would feel better to avoid. That's how you build mental dominance, not over others, but over the chaos inside. And here's the secret nobody likes to hear. There's no finish line. No final level where you get to relax and coast. The mind doesn't stay sharp by default. It dulls the moment you stop sharpening it. Every day you're either strengthening it or surrendering it. So stop waiting for motivation. Start building systems. Start building rituals. Start building a mindset that holds under pressure. Because you will be tested. Life will push you. People will try to manipulate you. Distractions will try to seduce you. But if you've done the work, if you've built the internal frame, you don't bend. You don't flinch, you don't fold, you lead. And not just for you, but for the people who still haven't woken up, for the ones still trapped in the cycle, for the men who are watching silently, hoping to see just one example of what it looks like to be truly free. So ask yourself again, are you living with intention? Or are you just playing a role? Are you owning your mind? Or letting someone else run it for you? Because every moment you delay, you're handing over power. Power that was meant to be yours. Power to choose your path. Power to build your own code. Power to live unshaken even when the world trembles. Every time you hesitate, every time you numb out, every time you shrink to fit in, you reinforce the cage. You tighten the grip of the strings. You deepen your dependency on a system that doesn't care if you exist, only if you perform. And maybe you can fake it. Maybe you can put on the mask, hit your goals, make your money, keep your image clean. But if you're not in command of your own inner world, none of it matters. Because eventually the mask cracks, eventually the pressure breaks the surface, eventually the silence gets too loud to ignore. That's when most men either collapse or evolve. And the difference between the two, whether you've trained for it, not in the gym, not on social media, but in your mind. Train to resist distraction, train to hold the line, train to think clearly when chaos hits, train to own yourself no matter what. That kind of training, it happens in the dark, when no one's clapping, when no one's watching, when it's just you, your standards, and the decision to rise. So, if you're still here, if your blood is stirring, and your conscience is lighting up, then take this seriously. Because the window for real freedom is small and shrinking. They're not going to stop. The distractions, the noise, the manipulation, it only gets louder, stronger, more subtle. And if you don't get sharper, more aware, more ruthless with your focus, you will be swallowed whole, not in one dramatic collapse, but in a slow erosion of your edge, little by little, click by click, until you become a shell of what you could have been. That's how they win, not with force, but with fatigue, not with control, but with compliance. So here's the ultimatum: you lead your mind, or it leads you straight to mediocrity. There is no neutral, there is no middle ground. Either you rise above the noise, or you become the noise, repeating opinions that aren't yours, chasing goals that don't matter, filling your life with movement that leads nowhere. But if you've made it this far, you already know there's more. You feel it deep in your gut, that fire, that refusal to be another follower, that resistance to being molded into something less than what you are. So, use it. Use that spark to reclaim your attention. Use that frustration to fuel your discipline. Use that awareness to rewire your habits, your mindset, your entire approach to life. Because this isn't about temporary motivation. This is about mental dominance, unshakable control. A code of conduct so solid, not even chaos can crack it. From the second you wake up, you're either in control, or you're being controlled. It shows in the way you breathe, the way you speak, the way you carry yourself when no one is watching. So sharpen that code, tighten your standards. Start moving like a man who refuses to be a slave, to comfort, to distraction, to weakness. Because every day you hesitate, every day you let the world dictate your direction, you drift further from who you were born to be. And the longer you drift, the harder it is to find your way back. That's what they're counting on, that over time, your fire dims, that your ambition dulls, that you forget what it felt like to want more, to be more. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can turn it around, not next week, not when you're in the right headspace now, because you don't need perfect conditions. You need commitment, you need clarity, and you need the courage to cut the damn strings before they become permanent. Every day you wake up is a chance to take your mind back, to rebuild what was stolen, to unlearn the noise, to harden your focus, to reforge your identity on your own terms. It's not flashy, it's not instant, but it's real. And it's worth it. You don't need a new trend. You don't need another hack. You need to stop running from the brutal simplicity of responsibility. Because no one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you discipline. No one is going to fight for your freedom more than you should. That's the line, that's the divide between the manipulated and the master. Between the puppet and the man pulling his own strings. So every action you take from this point forward asks one question: is this me in control? Or is this me being controlled? Answer that honestly and everything changes. Keep lying, and everything dies slowly, quietly, and with a smile that hides the surrender. So now ask yourself again, are you ready to lead your own mind? Or are you still comfortable being just another product of their programming? Because that's the harsh reality. If you don't choose your identity, they'll assign you one. If you don't choose your mission, they'll distract you with theirs. And if you don't claim your soul, they'll rent it one dopamine hit at a time. This is the age of engineered weakness, of curated comfort, of psychological warfare dressed up as entertainment. And the battlefield isn't out there. It's between your ears. It's the war for your attention, the war for your beliefs, the war for your very will, and you fight it with awareness. with standards, with a quiet, ruthless commitment to self-command, even when no one's watching, especially when no one's watching. It starts with one decision: to stop being easy to control, to stop being predictable, to stop giving your life away to devices, opinions, and fears that will never give anything back. The moment you make that decision, the real work begins. You'll feel resistance, your comfort will scream, your habits will rebel. Your old identity will try to claw its way back. Let it rise, so you can destroy it. Let it pull, so you can break it. Let it fight, so you can win, because if you don't break it, it will break you. And the world does not need another broken man. The world needs one who has mastered himself. One who stands still in the storm. One who is immune to the noise. One who chooses his thoughts, his direction, his values, with precision, not permission. And once you become that man, you stop playing by their rules. You don't chase trends, you build principles. You don't beg for approval, you walk in truth. You don't react to chaos, you command through it. Because now, you see it, the games, the conditioning, the invisible chains they wrapped around your mind since the moment you opened your eyes to the world, and you don't hate them for it. You don't waste time blaming the machine. You simply exit it, you detach from the noise. Not because you're running from it, but because you've risen above it. You stop needing to explain your silence. You stop needing to post every move. You stop needing to prove yourself to people who have no idea what it even means to own themselves. You move in alignment. You move with fire, you move with focus, because distraction is now your enemy, not your escape. That's what it means to be sovereign. Not just free in body, but free in mind, free in thought, free in action. And that kind of man, he doesn't just change his life. He becomes a force unbought, unbent, unbroken. He leads not through dominance, but through clarity, through presence, through the quiet, unshakable authority of someone who has faced himself and won. And once you taste that kind of power, not given, but earned, you'll never settle for less again. Because when you finally own your mind, you stop living like a puppet, you start living like a weapon, a guidepost, a signal that cuts through the static. A man who didn't just survive the system, but rewrote himself outside of it, and now everything that tried to control you bows to your discipline, the fear, the doubt, the noise. They no longer own you. They may still knock on your door, but they don't get inside, because the man you've become doesn't negotiate with weakness. He doesn't entertain nonsense. He doesn't slow down to explain clarity to the confused. He moves with intent, he builds with purpose, he lives with fire in his chest and steel in his mind. This is the man they can't manipulate. The man who sees the play before it's made, who reads between the lines, who walks into the world unshaken because he's already fought the war within. And that war, it doesn't end, it evolves, because every level of growth demands a new level of command. The stakes rise, the pressure builds, but so does your power. And when you carry that kind of power, you don't need to shout, you don't need to convince, you just are. Unmoved, unbound, unapologetically real. That's the reward for mastering your mind. Peace in the chaos, direction in the storm. Dominion over self when the world is lost in confusion, but the cost, everything weak inside you. Every excuse, every escape, every old version of you that bow to comfort and beg to be told what to do. So let them die, let the puppet burn, and from the ashes, build a mind forged in fire and freedom. Build the version of you that doesn't flinch, that doesn't fold, that doesn't shrink back when life gets heavy. Build the man who commands his emotions, not one who's enslaved by them. Build the man who walks into every room knowing he doesn't need to dominate, because his presence already does. This isn't about arrogance, this isn't about being untouchable. It's about being anchored. So rooted in truth, so aligned with your mission, that the world can try to sway you and you won't move an inch, because you've earned this clarity. Through sweat, through discipline. Through the pain of letting go of everything fake. Everything easy, everything they use to keep you docile. You've seen the system now. The scripts, the lies, the mental cages dressed up as normal life. And you made a choice to no longer be part of the show. From now on, you write the story, you define the standards, you choose the fight. And that's what separates you, that's what sets real men apart. Not the money, not the looks, not the likes. It's the inner stance, the quiet defiance, the refusal to hand over even 1 inch of your mind to anything outside of you. Because once you've taken back control, you realize it was never about them. It was always about you, your focus, your direction, your willingness to do the work no one else will. And now, the mission is simple: protect what you've built and sharpen it daily. Because the moment you let your guard down, the world will try to slip back in. Not with force, but with comfort, with little compromises, with whispers of just this once. That's how erosion begins, quietly, consistently, and always disguised as harmless. But you're not here for harmless. You're here for honor, for edge, for truth, no matter how heavy it feels. And that means holding the line when others fold, saying no to weakness even when it's dressed like opportunity, staying hungry even when things are good. Because a sharp mind doesn't fear success, it respects it. It honors the grind that forged it. And it knows that staying free takes more strength than becoming free ever did. So now the path is clear. No more waiting, no more wondering. No more asking permission to be who you were meant to be. The war is still on, but you're no longer just surviving it. You're leading it through example, through clarity, through ruthless discipline and unshakable intent. You've taken the first step. You've seen through the illusion, and from here on out, there's no turning back once the blindfold is off. You can't pretend you don't see. You can't unlearn the truth. You can't unknow the cost of silence, the price of staying soft, or the damage done by letting the world think for you and you won't want to. Because real power isn't just addicting, it's awakening. You start seeing everything differently, every conversation, every choice, every distraction, trying to claw back your attention. It all becomes state, not noise. You analyze, adjust, execute like a man on a mission, because you are. And that mission, it's not just to win, it's to become. Become the one who leads when others follow, the one who disciplines when others indulge, the one who sees clearly when others are blinded by comfort and chaos. And every time you show up for yourself, every time you hold that line, every time you refuse to bow to the easy path, you reinforce your freedom. Not the freedom they sell you, not the surface level, marketed illusion of living your best life. I'm talking about real freedom, the kind that lives in your spine, in your silence, in your ability to walk alone with full confidence because you trust yourself. That's what makes a man untouchable, not his strength, not his status, but the fact that he owns his own mind, and nothing owns him. So now, the only question left is, will you protect that freedom or will you sell it the moment it gets uncomfortable? Because make no mistake, there will be moments that test you, moments when isolation creeps in, when the crowd mocks you for thinking differently, when comfort whispers louder than conviction. And in those moments, the weak fold back into the herd, but you double down. You don't compromise what's real for what's easy. You don't trade your integrity for temporary applause. You don't abandon your mission to make others feel safe. Because you didn't come this far to blend, and you came to build, to lead, to stand in the fire and walk out sharper, harder, clearer. That's the path now, not for the faint-hearted, not for the distracted, not for the ones still looking for someone else to save them. It's for the man who has chosen to carry the weight of his own freedom, the man who doesn't just break the puppet strings, he burns them so no one else can ever put them back on. And from that fire, he crafts a new way of being, one rooted in purpose, fueled by discipline, and protected by a mind that bows to nothing but the truth. You don't owe the world silence. You don't owe the system obedience. You owe yourself the honor of living fully awake. So let the world keep scrolling, keep chasing, keep reacting. You're not one of them anymore. You've seen too much, you've become too much. And now you carry a mind that no one can own.